Alrighty. Alright. There we go. I'm here. So I think I'm gonna do some I haven't planned anything today, but I think I'm gonna do some Google Street View, aka Map Crunch. The crunchy maps. I feel like that's what I want to do today. I don't I was really happy with the street views that I did the other day, a couple like last week, and I kind of want to do that again. I've been just sort of here's an example of what I did last time. So we had all these different locations, and my goal wasn't to be totally accurate. It was to be more like pick the vibe, or whatever I found interesting about it. I love the mood of this. You know what? I don't. I don't like it. It's not terrible. I kind of like the fogginess if I like zoom in, if I can get past the foreground, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm not a fan. It's like overly mushy in shapes, and the colors are weird. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. It's not my favorite though. Yeah, I don't know. There's some cool stuff about it, but like I like this part. I like the fogginess and like the weird orange haze. That's kind of fun. But it's all the foreground stuff. It feels like it needs to be, I don't know, just like a big graphical dark shape or something. I'm not sure. I have no idea. No, that's terrible, but I don't know. It doesn't spark joy, you know? Sometimes a painting sparks joy, and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do some plein air. I'm just gonna start. Let's see. Maybe I'll do this. I'll just do a whole bunch of them. I'm gonna do like a bunch of small paintings. Okay. How do I do this? I'm so unprepared. I am going to open up a PureRef file. Put that on screen. Boom. PureRef. Actually, no, we don't need... Oh, this is a nice scene. Very pleasant. Pleasant, sunny. I don't know. We could start with that one. Although there's not much there. Also, my glasses are so smudgy. What in the world? How did they get so smudgy? Somebody was touching my glasses. Wasn't me. I don't do it. I don't know how they get so smudgy. Okay. I'm good. Good to go. Also, I've lost my chat. Okay. I don't know. Do I like this? Maybe. Let's take a screenshot. It's kind of nice. Actually, wait. Hold on. What am I doing? This is... I can look around. I forgot that I'm on Google Earth, where I can, like, move and see stuff. I don't know. This is a nice, very pleasant field. Pepperly, hello! Also, thank the 10 streams. Dang, that's a lot of streams. Neat. That is neat. Also, you said you're 500 points away from a print. That's awesome. You could probably get that today, right? I like this field. Hold on. Wait, let's go into the distance. There's this yellow field. It's very nice. Although if we go too far, then it's no longer yellow. Hold on, let's go down the road. I don't think there's much here. That streak said plus 450, but I don't see it being added. Hopefully it will be. Maybe it's slow? I don't know. I don't know how the point system works, to be honest. Okay. I don't think I want to paint anything here. I mean, these are pleasant. I do like it. Do we want to paint this today? I don't think so. Let's go to the next one. We're just gonna shuffle. Ooh, this is a photo. This isn't actually, no, this isn't what is this? Oh, this isn't Street View. Okay, I don't know. Skip that one. Okay, are we in the middle of a field again? They're doing a lot of, like, individual photos, not... Is there a way to, like, turn off hiking photos where it's just, like, single images? Like, in this? We're in the middle of, what, a boat? Really? Why is this included? Hold on, what if I move? Does it just show me the path of the boat? Oh, that's weird. I mean, I will say there is something nice about skylines like this, where it's just like a faint shoreline. Not much to paint though. Man, they're really giving us a lot of just stuff. Also, thank you for the follow. But yeah, for sure today, although I probably wouldn't redeem it until after the holidays. Mail here is crazy. Gotcha. Well, if you redeem it today or early, I can slip in. Actually, I don't want to make any promises, but I can slip in a holiday card as well. Since I think I have some extras. I'll have to count. Ooh, I kind of like this. Maybe we'll paint a parking lot. I mean, we could totally paint a parking lot. Yeah, I have some, because it's just a print, though I have some prints. Oh, so I've never seen a five-way intersection on Google Street View. But I have some prints that are like holiday prints, and so they're just like my standard holiday card. I just get them on print paper as well. So yeah, so I'm happy to like slip one of those in. I don't know if I have extras. I don't know if I do. Well, I don't want to make any promises because I only have so many, and I have to make sure I have enough for, like, you know, family, close friends, that kind of thing. Okay, that's just a random street. I'm looking... Ooh, this is interesting. That's an interesting ledge thing. Ooh, a 10-stream streak. Flying Fox, welcome in. I like this paint. This is nice. I'm trying to... The scale here feels weird, though. Also, what in the world is going on with this thing? Can we go up there? Can I, like, walk up the hill? The scale here just feels so weird. Ooh, that's kind of neat. Ledge. I really like the roadsides, the ledges that we come across. This one's neat. I like this overlap, the sort of lost and found edge. That's a good one. Let's start with this. I'm gonna paint this. So for anybody just tuning in, hi, my name's Joe. I'm gonna paint some plein air stuff. Plein air painting today, where we figure out what we want to paint. See, I think compared to this scene, I think the overlap here is really nice. This lost and found. And I think we can exaggerate that. That's what I'm going to try to do. Okay. Let's exaggerate. Let me put this on screen. Also, what's going on? All right. But yeah, hope everyone's doing well today. My shoulder is sore. I don't know. I either slept on it funny or my arm was raised quite a bit yesterday. I was doing some stuff and like my arm was up above my head doing things, and it could have been that. But my left shoulder is just not feel good. I'm getting old. But yeah, for sure today. Oh yeah. So yeah, I think for this painting, I do want to exaggerate that lost and found edge. Right now, there's almost a tangent. It's not bad. Like, the tangent that we do have isn't terrible, right? I'm basically where this line cuts right into the road. It doesn't quite. It does overlap, so it's still pretty clear. But it's just barely, and I wonder if we can't exaggerate that a little bit. trying to put this on the page in a way that fits on the screen nicely. So I think I want to try that. I want to focus on... Maybe I'll just start with the sketch. I don't know. I don't normally do a lot of sketching. But something like that, and then here. So there's kind of this shape, but then we have this other thing cutting in front. Although this is... And I'm not worried about composition. I mean, I'm worried about composition on my painting, but not to match it, if that makes sense. But I do like this. In fact, I think this might even... Trying to think how I want to do that. Because I do like this edge. This edge seems cool to me. And I think I want it to be the main, like, that lost and found edge. Hello, Leute. How's it going, everyone? Hello, people. It's funny when you speak German, my brain didn't register that it was German. Like I still read, my brain understood the words, right? Like I know you were saying hello, people, but my brain didn't understand what language it was supposed, or I didn't understand what language I was supposed to say, so I still just read it as like hello, and then I don't know, like an English version. It's very weird. I'm not good at like. I feel like sometimes I'm like a slow processor. I feel like my brain is very slow at stuff. I think it can like I think I'm pretty good at like immersing myself in something and like really like trying to go deep, but I'm not quick at like switching things. I'm very slow. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little stupid. But yeah, how's it going, Rekriner? Hope you're doing well. Okay, I like this. I wonder if... Welcome to my brain daily. What language am I supposed to be speaking? Yeah, it's like the pronunciation doesn't... it's weird. Okay, so I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to first break this down in simple values because we have an issue here. So in this real painting, this is one of the things that happens a lot, and what I really like about painting from Google Earth is that you don't get these like perfect curated photos, right? It's not like you're finding a great photo that you can just focus on copying, because if you just copy this edge here is so fine, it almost blends in, and it could easily add some confusion as to what you're looking at. So this is something that I want to try and fix or change. So we have a dark shape. Also, maybe we will make this shape go more past the midpoint. And then we have a lighter shape back here. And I don't know why I'm painting in green. I just happen to have a green background here. And I'm kind of just, once I block in the values, this is the same if you're painting from imagination too, at least for me. Also, why is it, do I just hear rainy mood? What's going on? This was not... Okay, that wasn't what I was doing, but we can just loop that. Deltarune. Rainy night, 1 hour ambience. Huh. I don't know if I want a rainy night vibe. Commissar Skull, hello. How's it going? Okay, so I think what I want to try here... Also, is there enough space on my computer? Or on my screen? I think what I want to try here is once I get the values blocked in, then I can play around with, like, changing shapes. And changing values, right? So, like, just some basics in here. I think I'm going to make this one even lighter. Actually... No. We'll do another dark line. So, like, the tree grove up here can be a little dark. Can come up here. And then we can have, like, a medium dark back here with, like, these trees. I don't know. I mean, this one shouldn't probably be darker. But see, already I'm running into this issue where all my values are starting to look the same. And then, of course, we have some clouds up here, which I don't know if I want them to be white and poofy. But I do like this little line here. I think that one's neat. Nice shape here, or hopefully. Try to get a ledge here. And then here, I don't know what I'm gonna do, actually. I'm kind of at a loss. I think I might put something here, like that. Add some texture in the grass or something. Or whatever material that is. I don't know. And also, I'm not sure I like that this is all up like that. What if we lowered it? There we go. Also, yeah, I'm not vibing with the rainy. It's not a good rainy mood time for me. I don't know. There we go. We'll just go with this one. Classic. The lo-fi, the Adventure Zone lo-fi mix. There we go. That's one of our... It's what I've been listening to lately on stream. It's perfectly 4 hours long. It's good vibes. I like it. Okay, so I think this... I mean... Again, there's not much happening in this scene, but I do think there's some fun opportunity. And of course, I'm not doing color right now. I could jump straight into color, and I normally do when I paint my actual art. But this is kind of fun to, like, what if I... Because there's some problems to solve, right? And I think that's what makes this different than, like, doing purely a study. Because, like, I don't... Like, this isn't inherently good. And so it's sort of the challenge is to, like, try and make it better or good. Like this layer back here that's pretty bright. How far back can we see it? Do we want to see it far back, or do we want to add like another layer before it comes that way? I don't know. I don't know. Also, if anybody's doing any art today, let me know. What are you working on? I suspect many of you are doing art. Reed Kreiner might be preparing for class, as is the time on a Thursday, I think. Also, some people were posting their recaps. And man, if there's anything that makes me not self-conscious, but maybe a little self-conscious. My recap, I don't like it because I never spend as much time on Twitch as I want. Like, you know, even when I'm lurking, sometimes I'll end up like, or I initially am lurking and then I like close out or something and not even realize it. And so like, I think last year, one of my goals was spend more time in people's chat and, you know, in chat, spend more time on Twitch. And I don't think I did. I think I failed. It sucks. And then I see people are like so supportive and spend so much time. And it's like, man, I want to be able to do that. I mean, I could probably, but I just chose not to. I guess other things I ended up doing. I don't know. Hello, Frostern. How's it going? All right, let's do this. Let's make a new layer. And I'm going to do a color mode or overlay. I don't know. Maybe overlay. I don't use overlay a lot, but it seems like for a painting that's mostly gray, like grays. Frostern, hope you're doing well today. There. I mean, those are some colors. This doesn't look very good right now. Also, if anybody wants to participate in the same in the same location, feel free. I'm gonna do a couple of these, or quite a few of them probably. Oh, I'll post it twice. Once for the... There. Now it's both on YouTube and on Twitch. I'm still struggling to get rid of this cold. I have a cough and still a stuffed up nose. Oh no, that sucks. Yeah, I actually think I'm getting sick. I've just been like a little bit sore and achy lately for no good reason. I've had a little bit of a sniffle. Not much. It's not a full-blown sickness yet, which I'm thankful for, and I hope it stays that way. But it's like I've been fighting something off for a while now. So I hope I don't get more sick, but I hope you feel better soon, Frostern. Being sick sucks, especially when it's cold and around the holidays. Like, I don't know. Just, I mean, I guess the holidays, you know, as long as you're not sick at the holidays and getting other people sick, but just, I don't know, something about it being cold and it's like, it's not helping the case, you know? I've also been fighting off a cold or something for the last few days. Yeah, I think it's just going around everywhere. Yeah, a little headachy. Yeah, a little sore throat. Yeah, same. Okay, now, this scene, I'm gonna add some browns in here. I thought about asking my friend how they're feeling to see if they still want to hang out, but I didn't text because I didn't feel right when I am still dealing with those symptoms. Yeah, that's probably just the responsible thing to do, is just not spread it. Like, I know there's always this, like, you know, sort of conflict of like wanting to be social and, you know, or if you're working, you know, want to go to work and you don't want to call in too many extra days. But then people so often return to activity when they're like not ready, and then they end up getting worse and they get other people sick. Yeah. Because like there's a point after you're getting better and you have this like boost of energy and you're like, I'm ready, I can go out and do stuff. And then it's like, probably you shouldn't yet. You're still fighting it off. Your body just happens to be like no longer in panic mode, so you don't have the symptoms, but like you're still weakened from the virus itself. So that's a thing that I sometimes think about, because it does seem to be the case that happens a lot. Also, what am I doing here with this red? Some of this lighting is kind of neat. We can probably do something here with that. Just some fun little lighting things. This doesn't look right. It doesn't capture this hard edge here. That's hopefully not strep. Yeah, hopefully not. Strep is serious. I don't know much about it other than it sucks. I've had it before. Okay, I'm trying to make this edge here a little bit more clean, because again, it's a little bit, we lose it a little bit, right? And obviously this top layer here, and I actually don't know the best way to do this. I think starting with, maybe we do something like that, where we put in some texture that's kind of bright. Hello, Druffzilla, how's it going? maybe we don't do that. Maybe we go extra bright. Maybe we go more saturated, because it is the foreground, and we could probably get away with that. So like a more saturated yellow-green. I don't want it to be, like, noxious, but it might be the play. Because, again, I want the foreground to read separate from the background. And so we have this lighter color here. And so we could just drop the saturation and make it ever so slightly a lighter color. Going all right, pretty tired. I'm feeling okay. I'm fighting off a cold, I think. A little bit. But overall, I'm good. Yeah, my shoulder's a little sore. Don't know why, really. It just is. But yeah, no, I think I'm pretty good. Okay, let's really try to get some of these dark shapes in here. Maybe some more warmth. I don't know. I'm kind of just blobbing colors, trying to get the vibe. Also, some of this background stuff can be a little lighter. I don't know if I need the clouds to look right. That's kind of the least, not an important thing. No, the other shoulder. It's the other shoulder, which is weird. I mean, it's not that weird. I think it's from doing my job at my non-art job. I have to, like, hang tags, and we just had a big tag night yesterday, or the day before. Which meant a lot of price changes and a lot of manual hanging tags, and a lot of it was above my head, so, like, my arm is raised a lot, and that's one of the ones where I guess I use both, but I think this arm stays, like, up longer, because I have, like, a stack that I hold, and then I hold it up so that I don't have to, like, move my hand back and forth as much, so both my hands are up, but this hand's kind of stayed still. So I think it's just from prolonged shoulder being engaged. And it's funny, this actually kind of relates to art, though, because this is kind of the... this is sort of the argument for, like, why I like a non-display tablet a little better, is because having an arm engaged for long periods of time, right? One arm suspended and the other hanging down, or just one arm more suspended than the other, like, it's just this lopsidedness, and it just isn't good for you for, like, long periods of time. I mean, it's not quite the same as, you know, that didn't cause it for me, but, you know, it's a similar motion, and I don't know, it just feels like... I think it's one of those things where, like, if you've never had pain from using an arm for a long period of time and just on one side of your body, like that lopsidedness. Because I think if you don't have that, then you just get, like, an overall fatigue, kind of, and it's not a big deal. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do here. I think this could be a nice... I mean, we'll just maybe make the same shape as in the photo. Something like that. Well, that's not bad. That's starting to get some of that blue in there. Some blue greens. Maybe some shapes. This. This one can even go over here, so we can kind of, like, layer it a bit. And another layer over here. I'm trying to make this look... I mean, I don't want to say better, because it's not going to look better. But I want to make it look clear. Whereas maybe the other one has some unclear parts. I don't know. I may not succeed. I probably won't. But I do like that. Yeah, it'd be very egotistical of me to be like, I'm going to make it better than the photo. But it is sort of a goal of mine, a little bit, to make it more clear. Although I don't think I'm not succeeding so far. What if we go a little brighter? Something like that, maybe? And then here, I find the essence of it. Yeah, I hate the word essence of it. Because I feel like that's never described what that even means. But yeah, it's basically just, I think in more concrete terms, it's identifying the things that are interesting about it, and then using your tools. Oh, that's why you're saying it. Gotcha. And then using your tools of visual communication to emphasize those things, right? So if you think this road is interesting and you like the curviness of it, then make it more curvy. And if you like the way that it goes behind this ledge, make it go more behind the ledge, right? Emphasize this overhang, right? If you like the depth in it, emphasize the depth. Maybe that means, you know, more atmosphere, something, right? Like there's all these ways to emphasize things. And I'm not doing a good job of it at the moment, I don't think. But that's at the core of what I think people typically mean when they say that. Or either that or they don't know what they're trying to say and then they just say those words because it sounds nice. I don't know. It's funny, I say that stuff too sometimes though. I feel like I always have to explain what I mean by it because I realize how stupid it sounds. Find the essence of the thing. Well, what does that mean? And even if you found it, what do you do once you find it, you know? Like, okay, great. If there's anybody like who's even vaguely a beginner is going to have no clue what that means. Speaking of things you can say, you know what? Hold on. I was thinking of making a 2026 like art, like maybe not bad art takes, but like art, like basically bad art advice bingo card, but not necessarily advice, more just like things like that. Like, oh, just find the like oversimplifications of things. So one of the ones I thought was, I thought about this the other day when somebody on Reddit was asking for some advice, and they seemed to genuinely, you know, want to learn. They weren't they weren't bad at art. They were sort of probably, you know, they seemed like they were pretty decent already, but they were actively looking for advice and a critique and saying like, hey, what, you know, basically what can I do to improve this, because I'm struggling. Like you know, in my head it's not quite where I want it to be and I'm not quite sure how to get it there. You know, does anything stand out to anyone? Basically, they were just trying to get some general advice. And one of the comments, it was one of the earliest comments in the entire Reddit thread, was like, oh, it doesn't matter. Art's subjective anyway. And I'm like, dude, you're not, I didn't say this, but I'm like, you're not helping. Like they're looking for advice, telling them not to worry about improving because it's all subjective and who cares. Oh, it's all meaningless anyway. You know, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, as long as you like. It's like, no, they're looking to improve. And so they're trying to seek out information. Don't dismiss their entire concern by saying, oh, it's all subjective. Like, I guess we know art has subjective elements to it. But anyway, that bugged me. I'm like, you know what? That should be a bingo card thing. Like, having your concern dismissed because, oh, it's all subjective anyway. I feel like that's got to go on there. And so then I was thinking, like, okay, well, what other bingo cardy type things could we put on for, like, bad art takes? You know, there's always the classics, like, you know, references bad, or, you know, basically anything amounting to, like, if you're doing it this way, you're doing it wrong, you know. But it's just, I don't know, it'd be fun to kind of make a list and compile a like, bad art takes bingo card for 2026. Maybe when there's a few more people in here chatting, I'll try to rally the opinions together, and we'll try to, what do you call it? I'll outsource the the info and get other people to chime in. Because I'm trying to figure out what other ones, but I do think like, I don't think find the essence of the painting would be one, because it's not, and it also doesn't have to be a bad art take, but it just, like, maybe annoying things artists do. Yeah, I'm not good at giving art advice. Well, it's not about art advice. I think, I mean, I kind of get it, because sometimes I will say things like that a little bit, where you have an idea in your head that's a little bit more nuanced, and then you just give like a super simplified version. Like, it's hard, especially if you're not doing like an actual course or a lesson, or, you know, if you're just talking, like, you can't go into a lecture every time you want to mention something. And so sometimes you just mention it offhand. But then that can be really confusing for people. But there definitely are a few that, yeah. And I think some are more valid than others. Like, I think the don't worry about it, art's subjective anyway, that feels like just the dismissing of someone's concerns or desire to get better. Like, this thing, you know, I'm trying to increase the spookiness in this painting, and they're like, oh, it looks good to me, it therefore, you know, it's all subjective anyway, it's good, don't worry about it. It's like, no. They clearly don't like something about it. With that being said, it's also tricky, right? Because sometimes there is a point where someone is beating themselves up so much, and like, maybe they're beating themselves up because they have a goal that is unobtainable. And so, like, their take on it is sort of so subjective. Like, maybe it truly is amazing to everyone else, and if they would recalibrate their goals, they would also be satisfied, right? It's hard. Those things are tough, because there are those edge cases where sometimes a person might need to hear that, but I feel like very rarely, if someone is saying, hey, I'm struggling with a painting, you don't tell them to not worry about their struggles. You'd be like, okay, well, what do you not like? Let's try to figure it out, right? And there might be a conversation to be had there. Right, but it's also really impossible to know what someone's goal was unless they're trying to express... Well, true. But sometimes a lot of art, most of art, I feel like, is almost figuring that out. It's like, okay, so what do I actually want to do with this? And how do I do it, right? What is the thing, right, to use the word that I hate, what is the essence of the thing? Like, what is it that I actually want from this? And that can take a little bit of soul searching. Like, maybe you have to confront the reality that, like, you're just trying to appease the masses, and you're just looking for external feedback to say that it looks great, because that's actually what you wanted all along. Like, that's a hard truth, kinda, sometimes. And if it's not that, then what is it? Like, is there a story you want to tell? Is there something about it that is different or unique? And like, if you don't know what your own goals are, it's hard to ask for advice, but at the same time, sometimes I think a good critiquer will sort of get that out of you by asking you the appropriate questions. Or maybe just questions in general. It's almost like, very armchair therapy, right? Like, you're basically saying, oh, you have a problem, well, let's dig into it, you know, let's figure out what this is, because not any, like, unless it's like a technical, sometimes it is, and I don't know, it's tricky. Sometimes it's just a technical thing. Do I like this painting? Kind of. Trying to carve some of these shapes. Just a bit. I think I like this one. I like the foreground, actually. I think I did an okay job at that. Okay job at that. Not a great job, but just okay. Maybe not. I want to get the distance, the depth going on correctly, or make it more depthy. Depthy, that's a word. Maybe there's more small shapes here. I'm kind of painting with like an opaque brush right now. I mean, it's the same brush I normally paint with, but I'm pressing a little harder today. Do we want little bits of rock in here? Or like greenery? And then maybe a little bit tuft of greenery up here. The left road feels like... Well, I'm not trying to make it... Yeah, if it feels off, it probably is. But I'm not trying to make it... If it feels off compared to the photo, I'm not trying to make it just like the photo. Yeah, it may... so, yeah, if you mean it feels off just in general, then yeah, it probably is. I think this part... Oh, you mean the second road? It doesn't look like a second road. Oh, this part? Okay. Wait, there is only one... It is all one road. This is the same road, isn't it? Oh, maybe it's not. Oh, I actually thought it was the same road. No, it is. It's... I mean, it... Wait, are you... Oh, wait, no, it's not. This is literally... Oh, that's a... I didn't even realize. I didn't even look at it that closely. That's like a weird... Almost an optical illusion. It is downhill a little... Yeah, I didn't think it was downhill. I genuinely didn't think this was downhill. Like, I thought this was just off the road. And then, like, you know how sometimes, like, when a trucks drive down a dirt road, the middle section will, like, grow over? And, like, they'll have the two beaten tire paths with, like, a little bit of green in the middle? I was thinking it was kind of like that. I didn't think this was its own road. So I wasn't painting it like that. Because I actually don't... I guess in some way I don't want it to look like this, if that's what this is, because that to me is not immediately clear. At least it wasn't... Clearly it wasn't for me. So I was actually kind of trying to make it look like one road, because that's what I thought it was. Oh. Well, that's unfortunate. Now I don't know what to do. Anyway, hey Raychiana, how's it going? By the way, the other day when I was lurking in Casey Snow's stream, I saw the snow painting study that you did. That looked really good. I think it was you who did it. Maybe I'm complimenting someone else. I'm pretty sure you did a snow painting, right? Yeah, as long as if you did one, then it's you that I'm thinking. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this is a good one and done thumbnail. Okay, let's do another. Painterly. Yeah. Okay, let's do another plein air painting. Okay, this is like the same environment. Did we get the same location? No, we didn't. Let's keep going. I wonder what kind of crop is this? I feel like I should know, but I'm struggling. Lemons, limes. No, what are these? I actually don't know how limes grow. Lemons grow on trees, right? And actually, no, these look like lemons. Are these lemons? These are trees. Yeah, these are lemons, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea what a lemon tree looks like. But I think this is lemons. Those sure look like lemons to me. Yeah, they look like lemons. Interesting. Okay, next. I don't want to paint that. What in the world? Are we inside someone's house? No, that's an if we wanted to do an interior, there we go. Okay, why does this place have 2 clocks on the wall? Does it really need 2 clocks? Are we looking in a mirror? Am I confused? Are there 4 clocks? No. Why? Where are we and why are there 2 clocks on the wall? That's a lot of clocks for one room. Where are we? What a weird place. Really odd room, no door. We might be standing in... Though there is a door right here. True, there is no door. That is a very weird room. This is like... If this wasn't on Google Earth, I would think that maybe this is AI. Yeah, why? Where is the door? It goes straight outside? Yeah, that is... No, is this... Are these... I'm so confused. Yeah, what's happening here? What is this place? What a strange... What is it? What even is this? There's Kleenex and... Okay, I'm not even sure I want to know. What are we looking at? What is this? Just random stuff? This is... I am so confused. Does anyone know what we're looking at? Like a very weird garage? Can anyone explain this? I don't know. I'm very perplexed. Is that a cabinet or the door? This? That's a door. Or this. That looks like a cabinet. It could be a door. Oh, I just went backwards. Oh no, did I lose it? Uh-oh. Oh, I've lost it! Oh no, hold on. Oh no. I hit back. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness me, we've lost it. I can't... Oh no, how do I do it? Oh no, I don't know what the... Is there like a... Oh dear. We've lost it. I don't know what it was. It's on the VOD, so somebody could screenshot it from YouTube. But yeah, that was a weird one. Oh, a little trail. I like this. Very naturey. I like scenes like this, but it's very distorted. This is just a single panorama, isn't it? Yeah, we can't move. See, this one we can move because it's actual Google Earth. Patman, hello. Hope you're doing well. Okay, I'm just gonna keep moving until we find a location that is interesting to me or to you guys. If something is vaguely, remotely interesting. I mean, some of these could be interesting, but there's a lot of scenery like this on Google Earth where it's just these outback kind of, you know, idyllic landscapes or very beautiful places. I both don't like this place and think it's fascinating at the same time. You're just going through here. Traveling through a construction site. You know, I don't know if I've ever painted a construction site. They're not very beautiful. Or they're kind of not even that interesting, to be honest. They're just like... I mean, you know, tractors and stuff are kind of cool, I guess. Little roundabout. I will say I do like the colors, like the deserty colors with the hint of green. Like that sort of white and green. Like this is sort of a nice color palette. Right? Like that's a nice little image actually. I wonder if, okay, speaking of the color palette, Let's paint this scene. And we're going to try and amp up the colors or the vibe. Amp up the vibe. I don't know quite what that means, but that's what we're going to try to do. So yeah, sort of these deserty, bright colors. Just really, really bright, but also a bit of this brownish color. And then some of these like green, yellow trees. But again, they're not too, also maybe this is slightly cooler. I actually don't know. We could maybe go a little cool up here. And then that way this green tree can really... And it's also kind of reddish dark. Kind of like that. And then we get some dark colors here. I probably should have sketched in some basic formations first. And some compositional things to just try and map it out. Otherwise it's going to be really not great. Let's go very... I don't know if I don't think I want to go actual blue. I think we can keep it warm. What I don't like about this kind of scene is that the foreshortening is so wacky and there's no overlap really. It just goes straight until it goes straight no more. Little bunches of shape that we can carve out. Something like that, maybe. Do I want to paint the whole thing? I don't think I do. I think we want to crop it like that. Maybe there's still some cars over here. I don't know. But yeah, I want to know what everyone's working on. I assume somebody like Skittle, if he's still here, he was probably setting up for stream. I know he streams in a bit. I still haven't ordered everything I want to order for like the holidays and all that. I did get my Christmas card done, which I'm very thankful for that I'm done, because I think last year I was stressing about it, and then it took forever, and it was almost late, and then I hardly even got to send it to the people I wanted to send it to. It was just kind of a mess. Okay, what is happening here? I want to resist the urge to zoom in too much, because if if you can't tell what it is without zooming in, you probably shouldn't be painting it high definition in your painting, because you can't tell what it is, so maybe you should leave it, blurrier or less clear. But at the same time, sometimes it's still nice just to know. Yeah, trying not to make this... Do we want to put this little tower thingy here? I don't know if I want to. Because it's not very clear, right? Like, we can't really even see what it is. I don't know. I mean, it's not really the part of the painting that I think looks nice. Get some darker colors in here. Just a little bit. But not too much, because it is still very bright. Everything's bright. I will say I like that there's these dark shapes here, so maybe I will include that. And also, this is dark. This should be in shadow. I mean, it's not super dark, but it's like... I'm kind of just focusing on... I'm trying to put the shadow shapes down. Just to get the vibes. And then there's a building back here, which I didn't really put in. Looks like a water tank. Yeah, it is a water tank. Yeah, it's a water tank. But I didn't really want to put it in there though, because it's kind of like hiding, you know? Very, very impressionistic-y. That's a real word, by the way. Impressionistic-y. Little bump out in the road. And then another one here that goes boop. Again, don't need to paint everything, but it would be nice to... And then on this side... there are some cars, and I actually kind of want to put some of them in. Especially the ones that are in the shadow over here. Or at least some of them. I mean, I'm painting very small, and that's intentional. Actually, maybe I won't put the buildings in. Again, not really trying to do the full thing, just an impression of it to where it kind of starts to look like an environment. That's kind of what I like. I don't know, I don't care to go super detailed. I think if I wanted to make this like a finished painting, I could absolutely go in here and you know, add all the shadows of all the little roads and make everything, you know, as perfect as I want or can, but I'm not really trying to do that. I do think the yellow lines in the middle of the road are nice. Again, there's almost no contrast on any of this stuff. I mean, there is some, and I think the painting has more, or my painting has less than the photo. Also, there is a tree that goes like this. And actually, that might be the... that actually might be that tree. I think that's what that is. That's a tree hanging over. A little hard for me to see without zooming in or anything, but that's, I think, probably okay. Again, if I can't tell what it is, it probably isn't worth putting in the photo. Or in the painting. Let's put a little wheel here. I should maybe do a little bit more measuring, but again, I don't, my goal isn't really to do that. I don't know. Does this have the vibe? Not yet. Yeah, it's fun. I like this stuff. This is like a nice. It's a mix between a study day and also just kind of for for fun because it isn't a like I'm not really treating it as a study. I don't know. I don't like calling things studies. I think I have a bit of an aversion to it because like ultimately I think you should paint more or less what you want to paint. Obviously studies are fine to do and they're good to do. They're great to do even. But I think some people kind of get in like a study hell kind of loop where all you do is study. And it's like, oh, I'm doing a study and I'm never actually painting the stuff I want to paint. And I feel like you can kind of do both, right? You can paint the stuff you want to paint, but also like try to learn while you're doing it and, maybe push yourself to do, to solve the problems in a way you hadn't solved them before. And so maybe you'll struggle a little more than if you just stick to your comfort zone, but you'll actually learn in the process and you're still doing what you want to do. Hello, happy Thursday, Strum Eagle. Happy Thursday. Hope you're doing well. I'm gonna add a little bit of a shadow over here. I know there isn't one. Hello, Ronnie the Zombie. Hello, beautiful people. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Okay, this is very bright. But I think that works. Ooh, a virtual plein air. Yeah! I haven't done this in so long. Yep, virtual plein air. We used some Google Earth to look around, figure out a place or something that is interesting to us, and then paint it. Actually, this would have been pretty cool to paint too. This whole place, this desert vibe, gives a little bit of like fortified city a little bit. Like if you wander into the wrong neighborhood, you might not come out. I feel like it's very weird. It's like eerie how walled in all this stuff is. Like they're, these rich people, but keeping other people out. Anyway, very it looks wealthy, but also kind of deserted and sort of like if you're like they don't not being very neighborly. It's not like in the US, right? We have a lot of like wealthy gated communities, but the vibe is still like uh Al Bustan Sharjah. I don't know. Let me Google. I don't know where that is. Is Sharjah Al Bustan? I don't. Hold on. Let me Google here. Why is it going to Bing? I guess Sharjah. I don't know what that is. I've never even heard of it. Okay, let me Google Sharjah. Where is Sharjah? It's city in the Emirates. Okay, it's a city in the Emirates. Gotcha. UAE. Okay, it's UAE. That makes sense. Okay, United Arab Emirates. Okay, it looked kind of like I've never heard. Okay, I don't know why it was just giving me the city and not the country. Like, can you give me the country, please? I don't know my cities. There's so many cities. Okay, I feel less stupid for not knowing what Sharjah is. Well, it's close to Jordan. Yeah, it does have that vibe, doesn't it? But it's kind of neat. I mean, it's neat in a weird way, right? Like, I'm sure within the grounds of each of these places is beautiful, right? Like if you were to venture beyond these walls, it's probably gorgeous, right? There's obviously a lot of greenery, right? It's sort of, but then you get into like this area and it feels like just feels awful, right? It feels like there's nothing, you know, it's sort of these weird island. It's very much. I mean, I guess there's a lot of that, like in Dubai, right? It's like you have all this sort of manufactured. At least to me, it feels very like manufactured beauty, where like it's it looks nice for a photo if you take the photo places, but the actual like it doesn't. Yeah. Like if you're well, I don't know. It's very weird. It's almost eerie. I don't like it. I don't like the like again. I'm sure if I were beyond these walls, it would look gorgeous, right? Each one of these estates are probably decked out. You know, they're super wealthy. We're clearly in a fancy neighborhood. I say clearly, but also I don't know. I'm expecting to see like fancy cars, but there's like nothing here. Where is everything? Why is it so empty? Are we in a ghost town? Anyway, next painting. Also, I'll share the location of that spot. Oh. There we go. That way, if I lose it... Oh, wheat fields. Or corn... Wheat field. I can't even tell. It looks like corn. That looks like corn. Okay. Amazing. See, this to me, like, this at least has, like, greenery around, and the greenery feels like the place could grow even if it's not in someone's home. Like, it doesn't feel like you're in the middle of the desert with artificial greenery. It feels like this stuff could... I mean, I'm sure this is all artificial, too, because you have sprinkler systems and stuff, but, like, I get the feeling that there's actually plant growth here a little bit more relative to, you know, compared to the other place. This feels much more green. Like they actually can grow stuff. This just feels more pleasant. Maybe that's my bias showing, I don't know. Even this, though. I mean, this is clearly run down, but also a little dog chilling in the shade. That's cute. That's a fun picture. What if we paint a little dog chilling in the shade? I hope he's alive. Yeah, he looks alive. Wait, is that another dog? No. This is why I would fail as GeoGuessr. Every freaking place looks like somewhere in South Africa. Just the cars are on the wrong side. Ronnie, are you in South Africa? That tends to be the thing, though, right? I experience this too. I think I've ever so slightly started to pass the hump of thinking that every place looks like the places I've been. But I think that's a really common thing, and I've heard it from GeoGuessers where, like, if you only know one place, every place looks like the place you've been. With, like, a few exceptions of, like, places you've seen in, you know, like oh, that's China or something, right? Like, there's gonna be a few obvious places that aren't where you're from, but you don't... And actually, I was thinking about this just the other day, because in terms of, actually, I think it was literally last night, I was thinking about how oftentimes as artists we are trying to make things stand out from each other, and like if you don't have if you're not very familiar with a thing, you know, there's like those stereotypes, like I guess they're kind of racist stereotypes, but like where if you're like a if you're someone who's never seen an Asian person, then to you, all Asians might look the same. Or if you've never seen a white person, all white people might look the same, right? Because you just don't, your brain hasn't been required to understand the nuance because like, it's just, like the pattern recognition hasn't needed to be that intense, right? If you needed to find some, if there was like, or even for like stores, right? If there was only one store with like a red sign, you could just tell your friend like, oh, when you're trying to find that store, just drive until you see the shop with the red sign. You can't miss it, right? But if every shop had the red sign, suddenly you have to pay attention to like more information, right? And I think there's something similar to that when like just with experiences in general, where like you just haven't needed to be that nuanced in how you understand spaces and, plants and, oh, like those plants look similar to the plants we have. They're green and leafy, but like there's so much difference between different types of plants. And it's something that I still haven't gotten quite very well for, especially for GeoGuessr, because I couldn't tell you where each of the places are, but you definitely like, I think that's a very common thing where like when all you know is what you just draw connections back to what you know, and it's like, oh, that looks similar to this thing I have in the States. We have these places in the States. Anyway, I just think it's a very interesting thing. But yeah, I do get that though. I love these shanty looking environments. I like them too. They have character, and I know people always say, oh, there's another dog. People always say that in relation to places that are like run down or have, problems. Oh, it's just character. It has a broken corner. It's a plate with a broken corner. That plate has character or something like that. I think it's kind of silly. It can be a little bit maybe demeaning, but it sort of adds, to me, it adds like, you can see that the human elements and their sort of like unique way of living, right? Because they're not overly, it doesn't seem like everyone is overly concerned with making everything perfect. And so you can kind of see like what this person collects and what they are interested in, because it's just out there for the world to see. And this person, you can see what they like compared to their neighbor, right? They're just, each person's house is distinctly different from the next because they all have this sort of wear and tear, and it feels real. Whereas if everything's all perfectly painted the same way with the same guidelines, it's like, okay, well, you don't know anything about any of these people. Not that I know a lot about this person, but like, there's stuff there. Like, oh, you can literally see them using the space. They're sitting there, chilling under their roof. I don't know. And like, this looks like it was hand built, this little seating area or whatever it is. Maybe it's a place to sell things. It's probably a place to sell on the side of the road, right? I actually don't know. But like this little stand here, I imagine they can put out vegetables or produce or whatever it is and maybe sell. I don't know if that's a thing here. I'm just speculating. But yeah, everything is... Yeah, it looks like a selling spot. And like that to me is so cool. Like, if I were to design a building, it's like this stuff is fun because you're like, oh, what if there was a little place, every little home had a little spot to sell things that's sort of customized to their own little market booth. Like, I think that's really neat. Got some farm equipment. I don't know. It's also just kind of gorgeous because it's like very neat. I don't know. I like it. What do I want to paint? Do I want to paint the dog? I kind of want to paint that. It's not the best thing of all the stuff here, but it's something. Actually, I have an idea. Okay, we're gonna do 2 images in one. But yeah, also this is just, to me, this is like its own way of studying, kind of. Even if you're not painting it, just sort of observing things closely and trying to see different things. I like this. I need to do more of this, and I say that every time I do it. I love walking in my town. Recently, I walked to the train tracks and found a whole bunch of games just lying in a field. Oh, interesting. That is kind of weird. Did you take any? Did you snatch them? Like, were they discarded, or were they just like like somebody was playing a game and left it? Like, what's the, like, just discarded stuff, or I'm very confused. But yeah, just walking around and exploring really is such a good way to, and just like exploring it within a, I don't know, it's like a different way of exploring. It's not just wandering around, but it's like looking at stuff and being observant. One of them was a game you wanted to play, but no one sells it anymore. So it was an early Christmas present from the universe. Oh, nice. No, they looked like they were thrown from a car. Strange. That's very bizarre. Okay, so I have a plan. So I really like this shop. Partly not because I think it looks amazing, but because I just think it's neat. And also, it would be a challenge to draw. And I do want to challenge myself. Whoa. Wait, is this... Oh, did we just get different... Hold up. Look at this. This is a different time. So here... Whoop. So here you have one season. And then if you go down here... Yeah, it happens... But it's cool because you can see the same exact... This actually... Look, and then this is where they built the thing. And then down the road you can see it again. I will say it's crazy how much different this place looks with this different color palette. Oh, dang. I love that. I love just being able to see, like, just jump in time. Although I like the lighting in this one better because it has shadows. But I will say, this is a neat little place right here. And so, what if I take these 3 photos? If you look at this, there's 3 photos here. This one is more occupied, right? It's more overgrown, right? There's some colors in here. This one doesn't have that. And then you have the son of the dog. So I'm going to do a scene like of this booth, sort of overgrown. Maybe I'll even put some stuff there. Some fruit baskets or something. And then I'm going to have the dog laying in the sun, and maybe I'll change the lighting scenario. Pat says, oh, do you guys can tell me a character? I want to make a silly drawing and add a silhouette in it. Oh, well, you could do like a salesman, but maybe not like this specifically, but like a fish salesman, or somebody who sells carrots, and carrots is the thing they sell, or like pick a vegetable or pick a food and make an entire character who's like a merchant of that thing. That could be fun. Merchant characters are always fun. Yeah, that's my suggestion. Some sort of merchant. Okay, let's start. I'm gonna start with this. Sounds good. Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do the lighting the other way. Snake oil merchant are the most fun to... I mean, I think honestly any merchant is fun because you can add character. They often, if they're traveling merchants, then you can show places they've been, and like, you know, if they have a cart, you can put different knickknacks on them. I don't think it has to... I'm not sure why snake oil specifically. What makes that different than I mean, other than the thing they're selling is like they're, you know, a scammer, but although technically snake oil was like an actual thing, although the idea that it's basically now I think the meaning has changed, right? Where now it's just synonymous with like scam, but like snake oil, I believe, is a real product, whether or not it does the things people claimed that it did. I don't actually know what the claims were. Because they have to be sleazy, so designing their clothes is always a challenge. Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. Trying to think. Maybe we'll do... Should I do some drawing first, or should I just sketch out a... Maybe I could spend probably the whole stream on this one painting if I wanted. Trying to figure out just how to align this properly. Or just how do I want to design this. Because I'm not drawing the thing in the photos as such. I'm more... I mean, I will do a little bit, but it's more that I'm gonna sketch something like you. They have to be believable, but also have to add that little bit of dissonance in their color, like they're not who they claim to be. Yeah, I guess. I mean, but you could do that with anyone, right? You could have any sort of, you know, person selling a thing that looks a little bit off. Or unless you didn't literally mean snake oil, but like just like a scam artist kind of like person who's up to no good selling garbage. Let's put in the green. Let's try to get that color looking something nice. Maybe we even start with like a deep red in here. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a good idea. You meant scammers, historical scammers? Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like any sort of traveling merchant kind of fits that bill, though. Not that they're scammers necessarily, but this idea of like, you know, knowing that if you're traveling to a place to sell and then you're gonna leave, like, might as well haggle and get all you can. You know, sort of like the hardcore business upseller, slightly unethical, but not necessarily unethical. Just sort of, you know, it's all about making money. You know, if you take advantage of someone who's a little bit misinformed, like that's on them. That's, you know, this is the mindset. I don't actually believe in this and doing this, but like, you know, it's sort of this. It is a little sleazy, but it's really just like businessman sleazy. Not that the product they're selling is bad, but like maybe they make extra claims about it, and maybe they, you know, there's always like a little bit of something extra that is layered in there. Oh, this is not in perspective. I found this rock that'll make women fall in love with you. Give me your life savings for it. Yeah, I mean, that's very specific, though. I mean, yeah, I think I get what you're saying. I just think any merchants can be interesting. People who are basically traveling, you don't necessarily know where they're from. You know, so you kind of get to like invent a culture, you know, design something around them. Oftentimes they might even play up the mysteriousness of like, oh look, I'm from a faraway land and I'm selling this stuff that you can only get in this faraway land, you know? And it's like it's not necessarily untrue, but like you know, they're I mean, again, I think artists have done this a lot, like historically, is sort of playing up the mystique around themselves of like this thing that I do is super duper unique and it comes from a place unexplainable, you know, to a mere a normie like yourself. And like, you know, if you want the thing I'm selling, only I can give it to you. And sort of like really it's not that special. It's just art and it's people making stuff. But sort of just trying to sell it as this super high, like this super unique thing as if they are somehow, you know, blessed to, I don't know, like that's a really common thing in just sales in general. And like when you have a product and you want to make it seem more important or useful, like that's been a thing for forever. Luckily, I feel like nowadays, especially, somebody was talking about this just last stream. Nowadays, we have like the whole creator culture where like that's not as much of a thing. Because people are actively like giving away secrets, and like that's not secrets, but you know what I mean, like hacks and stuff like that, because the algorithm rewards them for it. So there's a little bit of I think some of that's going away, which is good. So yeah, I'm kind of just trying to like build this up. Haven't quite decided what I want to do here. I know we can't tell what it is yet. Just trying to add some of that stuff. What else do we got here? Okay. Let's add some light here and here. Then we can add some shade under here. We can also add some shade here. And again, these are very low resolution, so this might look a little silly. I should probably scale it up before I do this. Although I don't think the resolution's really going to be an issue. Like, when I was in film school, we shot inside this mega 15-bedroom mansion. They had a giant artwork on their wall that was literally made by human feces. Apparently they paid like 50,000 for it. I don't get it. Some people. Why? I made in China. But yeah, I just, that's always been a thing that for a long time kind of, even with art, turned me off of art for quite a while. Of sort of like this, because I mean, a lot of times when, especially when you learn about art in school, right? Like, you know, whatever little bit you might learn about, typically is, you know, like the greats kind of, right? You learn about the old timey artists, and a lot of that is that kind of was that atmosphere that a lot of them existed in. And they're sort of hyped up even more because of history of like, because they're the ones that kind of made, you know, they made it. And it's not to say that they aren't great at what they did and that they don't deserve praise, but when that's all you learn about art, and it kind of, I don't know, it sort of put me off of it a little bit. Also, I'm not liking this. Should probably have paid attention to perspective a little more. You know what? Let's do this. Copy, paste. Maybe this. I don't know. This is, I know you can't just move perspective like this. Oh, well, I'm gonna move this. You can't just move perspective like this. It's not gonna work. But when your perspective's already wrong, maybe you can. It'll work out. And then, just like I mentioned earlier, maybe there's like a shadow coming this way. And then in the shadow, like a dog laying in the shade. And that's where we can take the other image. This one. Just the pup. Cute dog. Little bits of shadow and light. Go up here. Get a little bit of that light gray. Now, of course, we do need to make sure that this shadow makes sense. Which we can do. We can add some... Also, this is very... It's a tiny dog. Make him a little larger. That's a pretty pupper. Thanks. Honestly, this dog has a really nice like silhouette. It reads well. I mean, I'm not saying mine does, but like the dog in the image. I mean, I'm basically painting with pixels here. I don't know if that's even very clear. And then in here, maybe there's some baskets and stuff. Again, I'm just blocking in. This is not meant to be... Maybe there's some things sticking in them. Some bundles of stuff. Maybe we get some of those colors. So earlier we had some teals in here. teals and reds. Maybe we get some of those in there as well. Again, just stuff hanging down. And then here we get these deep greenish, bluish colors. And maybe there's just like some piles and stuff. Again, we don't have to know exactly what they are. I'm just putting some shapes in here for now. Things they sell. I also like that there's like a little platform back here. We can hardly see it. Or we would be able to hardly see it if I were to put something back here, but maybe I can make it raised. And then maybe we can get some yellows in there, poking through into lighter spots. Some big ol' leaves in here, which I think is neat. And hopefully this will start to give the vibe of like a little market stall that is, again, not the exact same thing that we see. I'm not worrying about looking at the reference when I'm painting these individual plants. I'm more just, you know, like I also like that there's some overhang here, which is kind of neat. So we will put some of those long hanging down plants, which works really well for this. It looks really good, thanks. It's not great, but again, this is like, to me, this is like a sketch in its sort of purest form, right? I'm not trying to make it something crazy and extravagant. I'm not trying to do like a hyper-realistic sketch. It's literally a sketch. Do I like the brightness, though? I mean, what else in this scene, like, there's... I mean, I guess there's like a hint of red, maybe, for like that red house back here. I don't know if we need that. Just little bits of things. You need that three-legged pot? I could probably put that in there. It looks way more important to them. It looks like it's very important to them. You think so? This one? Maybe. Yeah, we could put that in there. I do like it. It adds some nice character to the scene. It's also just a nice, it'll silhouette this nicely. Looks good. Your drawing could be murals? No. That's very nice. I mean, I'm just drawing from the reference right now. I'm not really designing much. but that's very nice of you to say. Nice big circular thing that this is on. We're just drawing literally... I don't even know what this thing is, but it's interesting. It is like a giant pot, and it even has a covering on it. You get a little bit of this... Here, we'll pick the color of the dog. Yeah, it has like this little covering here, which is kind of neat. And it has this dusty color on top, which is nice. And we can definitely get some darker. I don't want to go as dark, because again, in the reference, this is not... Actually, we'll go brown in the shadows. We have pots like that for when we have rolling blackouts. Great for cooking on raw fire. Gotcha. Is that what they're for? That makes sense. We'll go a little bit brighter here. That. But yeah, thank you for the kind words, Pat. I appreciate it. We'll add some little shapes in here. I feel like... Yeah, the goal for this... And I mention this every time. It's always my goal, almost, when I paint these things. It's not to make exactly what's in the image, like the dog isn't in the image. It's to make the vibe, you know? And of course, we could, you know, design these things, and, you know, if I wanted this thing to be just right, we could do all sorts of designs here, play around with different stuff. I think that's nice. This thing does have a thatched roof on top, kind of, but I'm not sure how to draw that, or if I want to. While sipping... I'm making it sound like I live in a tribal area. Our pots have the legs attached, though. I mean, I think a lot of people probably have pots like that, but yeah, it is interesting that it's on the side of the road, and I like it. I just... This whole place... You know, minus probably the lack of internet connection, looks like a really cool place to live. I don't know if I could survive without internet. I'm sure I would do fine. I think I could manage, but also I wouldn't ever want to. So let's bring this trunk out that way. I don't think we need to put a trunk in here. In fact, even these leaves. Here you'll see a place like that with fiber internet. Honestly, that sounds like a good time. I mean, although probably not. I'm probably, you know, romanticizing it a bit, because I can afford to spend a lot of time on the internet and, like, doing what I'm doing here. You know, my lifestyle, I guess, or my cost of living, you know, is like, I don't have to earn a ton, right? And I can earn just enough. So, like, I don't know if that would be true if I were living in a different place. And so I'm probably quite fortunate for my situation, even if it's not amazing. But I don't know. Like, I don't know how their lifestyle is, or how their, you know, their quality of life. Little bits of debris and all sorts of things down here, maybe. Solar panels on the roof. Just adding some shapes in here. And maybe some trees, or not trees, plants in the foreground. There. I think that's pretty okay. Again, it's a little dark, I think, in the back. You know, I put a lot of shade in here. I wonder if I took like an airbrush, maybe I could soften it up a bit. Or not soften it up, but lighten it up a bit. And I might be a little... Yeah, let's see if I do that. If I get rid of that, does overall lightness come through? I mean, it's not super clear, is it? I was hoping I would make it more clear than the photo. And obviously I've changed the design a little bit, which is probably not good. I made it a double-decker. I think perspective-wise, it's a little whack. A little out of whack. These little palettes. I do like that these are palettes. So we can put some of these slits in here. What is this? Is this like a there's multi layers of stuff. Some little dark layers. Imagine white picket fence homes, kids playing in the street, but nearly every morning you see cow herders walk past. That's cool though. I mean, I've never been a big fan of like the white picket fence vibe. Again, that's getting too much into the every house looks the same. And I've never liked that. I've always liked, like, I don't know, same with the interior of people's homes, right? Where some people have this aesthetic of, like, almost like hospital, I call it, like, hospital aesthetic, where everything is, like, pristine, countertops are clean, no appliances are on the counter, or they're all tucked away, you don't have any bookshelves, everything is in cabinets. It's like... It looks like a place isn't even lived in, even though it's lived in. And I've never liked that. I've always liked a bit of clutter of showing, you know, like, if you use something, make it convenient for yourself, right? Like, you know, if you walk in, have a coat rack. Put your coat on it. If you have to, like, unlock a door, open it up, move things, put it in, close it, like, that, there's a certain point where... it's no longer efficient. It's purely for aesthetics, and I don't like that. I like the efficiency behind things, where you know, it looks like people are using the stuff that's out, and yeah, it sounds like a cool place. Yeah, the cow herders on the street. That does sound like a cool place. Also, this is very low resolution. I'm painting with pixels here. I like this, though. Okay. And then this... I don't think I want to put the design in here too much. Maybe a little bit. With the little triangles. Because you can't really see them. Also, where's the light coming from? I mean, I kind of had it the other way, but we can do this. Put that there, which means the dog can cast a shadow. An additional shadow. I kind of have like two shadows. They're sort of like big shadows. Maybe these are from trees off in the distance. So you get some dappled light in here. And then the dog itself is casting another shadow. Maybe where there is still some light coming through. I don't know, just to like emphasize. That's like a thing. I don't know if you really see that in real life. Sometimes you do. You'll have like the occlusion shadows or ambient occlusion, but I'm more like a second cast shadow. It's a little weird, and it's not really something I think you ever see in real life, but I do. Sometimes it's like, it kind of works. Like a double cast shadow. Okay, there we go. I like that one. Let's do another painting. Oh, we're already at the 2-hour mark. Dang. This painting took me a while. But yeah, I think you could spend a long time on a painting like this because there's just a lot going on. Obviously, again, this is very, very simplified, but not bad. Let's find another map crunch place. And if you guys want to join along, you're welcome to once I find a spot that I want to paint. Maybe we won't do something so ramshackle. Ooh, oh, this is neat. Look at that. We get a little swampy area. I mean, it looked much better in that lighting. Now it doesn't look as good. This is another place very similar to the last one. But look at that lighting, though. That's neat. I like that. I know this is like an artifact of the vehicle. Apparently, I don't know. But that lighting makes a nice vignette. Looks amazing. Don't sell yourself short. Well, I mean, wasn't supposed to be a masterpiece. These are just sketches. Could do some water, some pristine ocean, or some highlands, mountainscape, rolling hills. Where else? What's this place? Let's go up the hill. Can we go closer to the home? Oh, look at this. Oh, the rocks. I love this stuff. I love rock walls. I don't, like... Part of me wants to paint this because I love rock walls. They're just, with all the moss and the texture and the little plants growing out of them, different little bits of, like, reddish plants. This stuff is so cool to me. There's all these little mosses and... Looks like a vineyard. Up here? Yeah, it probably is. Probably. Some sort of orchard or vineyard or something. If you like it, go ahead. Yeah, I might. I might. But I also do a lot of that. Also, what's wrong with the Google car? Why is it so big? Why is it taking up half the scene? Ah, there's the Google car is in the way. Dang it, Google car. Where is this place? It is... I don't know. Let me Google. Let me Google it. Portugal. Rua do Carrillo. Viseu. Viseu? I don't know how you say it. Here, let me share the location with you. It's in the Viseu district in Portugal. What's the app called? Is it Google? It is Google Maps. This is called Map Crunch, though. This is just mapcrunch.com. It uses Google. It uses Street View, but it's like a randomizer, so it adds some stuff. But yeah, it is just Google Maps. I do like this, though. Let's paint this. With the lemon trees and these structures. That's a nice one. I don't know how well this is going to translate, though. We might have to do the... Oop, I didn't mean to paste it. I meant to paste it here. So this one, I think I might take some major liberties and actually just paint my own fantasy landscape with it, but use it as like as a main inspiration type thing. So what I might do I'll still use... I'll still use it as a reference, of course, and I'll use the colors. These are way too bright. I'll still use the colors and some of the textures and stuff, and a lot of the textures. But I might do something like, you know, build up a wall or a door, because this image doesn't have a lot of depth, right? It doesn't have foreground, midground, background. It does if I paint this, but I don't really want that in the scene. I mostly just want to paint the wall, and I also like that there's these wooden platforms up top, right? So like if I do like this stuff where there's these wooden planks and there's some structures I think are kind of neat. But then what? So maybe this is where we just start making it up. Or maybe this is taller. So actually, maybe I'll start with a grayscale image. Some foreground, midground, background. Some classic atmospheric perspective. But something where I can focus in. And maybe some sort of door. Do I want a ground plane like that? I don't know. Does this one... I mean, this one kind of does. It sort of has one. I realize that this is... We're cramped for space here. But yeah, maybe here we have some of these rocks sort of... Top, we can get some of that lighting. And then down here, we can also get some lighting. So... This could go like that, maybe. So we still have that lighting. We still have this lighting. Maybe there's some stuff back here. We might be able to go a little brighter in the back like that. Again, this is very generic in terms of sort of fantasy landscape vibes. Or maybe there's another wall here. Like a terrace type thing. And this one also has... And this one has those, like, wooden planks up top. And then they have the plants. Maybe something like that. I don't know if this is going to look good or not. It's kind of okay. Speaking of looking good, I'm kind of tempted to make this more contrasty. I don't know. Lots of options. But yeah, I wanna start by sketching out a different composition, and then I'll use this reference as sort of a a way to do the detail and the colors. I just want to get some sort of composition first, and I'm not sold on this yet. Be a bit more flat. Maybe we just make it like this, where these are like actually overlapping. And then maybe this one is like a wall going the other way. So like this one's going this way, these are going this way. And of course this one is... And then, yeah, we can still have some of that. Let's, I don't know. Do I like that? A little secluded area with some stones around it. Again, these are very simple, but they're just almost like the scaffolding for a painting. Do I like that? Maybe. Let me think. Let me wander around this location a bit more. If I can find it. Because some of it, like this, right, we do have little bits of, like, area where this goes, you know, these have these big rocks, and they are paths that go in and out. Oh, this looks fun. Hey, Allie Briggs! Is there a concept that is leading the street views? No, so I have a few goals. So I'm treating this as virtual plein air painting. So just like regular plein air painting, it's not typically like a study as such. It's more along the lines of this is something really cool and I want to paint it. But also kind of an exercise in simplifying and sort of saying, here are the things that I do like and everything else is a mess and let me simplify, right? And so this one is I think I did an okay job where there was this little stand and I changed it. I didn't make it exactly the same, but also there, you know, and then in the same view, but not in the same, like the same scene, like right across the street, there was a dog sitting in the shade. And I thought that was a really nice vibe of like this sunny place, a little like a stand where the person sells stuff, and then I didn't take a photo of it, but if you went down the street a bit, that you could, the weather changed and like it kind of gave a better vibe of the overview. But there's like a person here and maybe they sell stuff sometimes. So I thought, you know what if we painted a scene of that? I didn't paint exactly any of these. Like this is not the street view angle, but I wanted to put a little dog in there, chilling in the shade. I got some of the stuff from the scene, right? So it's like part study, part exercise in simplifying, trying to create a mood. And I don't know if I quite got the vibe right, but I really enjoyed it. I think these are a lot of fun to do. And also you just get to like explore places. I mean, I think it's worth it just to take time sometimes and wander around a Google Street View place and just look at stuff. So like this one is looks like some sort of vineyard, but I really liked this wall. I really, really liked the stone wall with all this moss and the stuff growing. I just thought it looked really gorgeous. And I thought it would be neat to sort of ignore all of it and basically make a fantasy landscape of some place, my own forms, but use this as like the walls. So I was kind of sketching out some basic rudimentary geometric forms, and I don't know, I'm kind of figuring out what I want to do for this one. This seems like more fun because you don't know where you're going. Yeah, I mean, I think similar to an exercise of finding what you like about a place. Like if you're just walking, typically you can find something you like. But then there's going to be a bunch of stuff that it's never going to be perfect, right? There's always going to be things, you know, a power pole that's in the way of your view, or you know, a bunch of loud noises and other vehicles or cars, or like something that maybe you wish you could, or like maybe there's a building. This is a common one from Google Street View, where maybe there's a building and we're getting a raid. I'll finish that thought in a moment. Welcome in, raiders. Welcome in. But yeah, one of the things I really like about this is that sometimes if you're painting, like if you get plopped down in a city, there might be a really cool building, maybe as like mosaic tile work or something. But then but you can only see like a portion of it. And so you can kind of like delete the building, right? Like just like, what if I wander down the street, get a view of all the sides of the building, and then sort of piecemeal it together to like repaint the building in its own setting that is, you know, and so there's a lot of that where you're kind of just like, it's part making it up and also part using, I don't know, it's fun. It's just fun. It's a good exercise in figuring things out. Art Jack, how's it going? Welcome, raiders. I think last time you raided, we were doing this, right? I think we were literally painting the same, or not the same thing, but we were doing Google Street View painting. I think. Was that last time you raided? Like a week ago? Maybe. But anyway, how are you? What were you up to today? How's it going? It's going good. I think I'm getting a little sick, so maybe it's not going good. But I feel good. I enjoy this kind of, you know, this is a little bit different from what I normally stream. I think I said that last time. But I haven't done this since last time I think you were here. So, but yeah. Dono Vankyo. I don't think I said your name right, but hi, Dono. Hope you're doing well. More speed painting, so more of the usual trying to build the momentum back up. That looks gorgeous. Thanks. Yeah, it was fun. I liked the exercise, as I just explained to Ali Briggs, who just popped in. I really like to, especially when painting from like Google Street View, where the camera is always at the same spot, and you always have, you know, it's always from a car's perspective, basically, or sometimes a person, but like, you don't typically get a view of like, you know, looking up at stuff, you know, it's sort of always the same view, or vantage point. So like just changing things a little can be fun. Changing perspectives of things that you can't quite get on your own. You know, adding things, changing things. I just like it, you know, playing with color, you know, because oftentimes you get very realistic lighting. And what if you want really saturated, vibrant colors? Well, good luck with Google Street View, right? And so maybe you want to inject some of that. And I just think it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm having a good time. If you'd like to share your art tax, or not share it, but pay your art tax, it's due. I'd love to see what you were working on. Okay. But yeah, for this one, I really liked this mossy stone, and so I think I'm going to play around a bit. Play around a bit with these stones coming up here. Maybe they've got some big stones, some small stones. Tax for the tax man. Perfect. That's what we wanted to see. Ooh, this is so good. Yesterday's 2 hours speed paint commission. You forgot to post. Oops. Well, I'm glad you posted it now. That's amazing. Here, let me do a little bit of a repost. There we go. And some hearts. This is gorgeous. Look at this. I love these colors. Also, I love how you did the lighting and how like down below the colors get very gray and dark and blue and they still look blue, but they're not as vibrant. And then up top you get more saturated, or technically less saturated there, but more saturated down the dark. Anyway, I think it's really nice. I love the way you did the colors there. And of course that backlit is gorgeous. I love the blending of the character. Yeah, the way that it becomes just a silhouette. That's a really nice way to do it. And that, you know, this is... I mean, you did it much better than I'm doing it. But This is very much a thing that I'm thinking about a lot when I'm painting this, when you're painting from life, even, because again, life is so messy. There's so much stuff. Like, if you were to paint this exact scene, you might make this tree just a silhouette. You know, no texture on the bark. This building could just be a silhouette. But then maybe you want to focus on a plant, and this plant has the detail, you know, and like that's your character. But then all the other stuff, you can either delete it or simplify it or make the whole background blue. Like, there's so many. I love simplifying. It's one of those things that I don't know. It's sort of the skill that I'm most interested in at the moment in art is sort of learning to ignore a lot of what's in either a reference image or in real life, or really try to clean things up. I'm not great at it, but it's been a thing that I've been working on. So it's always nice to see someone like you do it so well. The chiaroscuro was totally not a way to actually get a flowing checkered garment done in 2 hours. Is that what you call it? Chiaroscuro? I've heard that word before, and I've even Googled it. I don't know what that word means. Is that what you call that? Like a spotlight? An effect of contrast light and shadow created by light falling unevenly on a particular direction or on something, according to Google. Okay. Basically using strong darks and lights. Gotcha. So like kind of like studio lighting with like a spotlight or something. Is that kind of what it is? Or I say studio lighting, but like indoor lighting, not outdoor natural light where you have all that fill, but basically you have like limited fill light, mostly spotlight, or like a single light source. Okay, like Rembrandt's work. Gotcha. Makes sense. Gotcha. Also, what we were just looking at, other than how to say chiaroscuro, because I don't know how to say that word. I want to take a photo of this because I liked some of the lighting here. Okay. What if we have one large structure, not a building, but just a large structure with lots of rock and stuff down at the bottom. And then we can have another overlapping structure here, kind of like in that reference. But then over here, maybe we have like another overlapping shape. I don't know, maybe something like that. And so this is still the focus, and we'll divide this up. I think that could look nice. This could be the light. Yeah, I don't do a lot of spotlight work. Sometimes I'll do like some compositions of sort of spotlighty effects. Also, I'm curious if I take like a multiply layer here. This isn't spotlight, but just trying to add in. I don't think I want actual blue in here, but maybe a little bit of dark, or yeah. Maybe a little bit of darkness. I don't know if that's going to be good. It's super important in horror art too, to direct the eye. Yeah, I mean, anything like the flashlight. This is, whenever I sometimes will go on a ramble about value structures in art, and how a lot of times like the way that you start is you can learn like a, you know, kind of like your average normal daytime lighting, where you have sort of like a sky shining down on everything, and then you have, which, you know, is like oftentimes the lightest part of your painting, And then as things get closer, it gets darker and darker, right? But if you invert that, right, if instead of doing lightest in the background, you do darkest in the background, and then you get progressively lighter as you go forward, what you actually end up with is basically like a spotlight. It's like you can almost imagine like a forest, and I'm going to paint some trees in here just to illustrate my point, where these trees get very dark, and then right in the foreground, it's almost like you have someone with a flashlight shining in here, right? And then everything else is just this fades to darkness, and it's almost a very eerie. I mean, I don't know if this is quite the same. And then, of course, maybe you get some dark shadows. It's almost like you're shining a flashlight into the forest, right? And it's... I don't even know if you need these dark lines in here. You know, and maybe there's a few spots where there's, you know, some dark stuff. But like, that to me is a really... like, it's an interesting way to do a painting and to set it up. And it's basically a nighttime painting. There's some underwater paintings that might look like a bit like this. You're basically, it's like you have a flashlight and you're shining it. And it's just a really nice way to arrange values and start a scene. And, you know, you instead of putting your focal points in shadow like this, where this is a light shape silhouetting a big dark shape, instead of doing that, you're doing the opposite. You're saying, here's my source, it's going to be in light. And so this is my main character, super high contrast, you know, and then everything else behind it is darker, and the light falls off fairly quickly. Like, even, the light, realistically, should be able to reach back here, but it doesn't, kind of, because it's like you have a weak lamp or something. Anyway, I find this to be a really fun value structure to start a painting. And obviously, you can rearrange these any way you want. You could have dark in the background, light in the midground, and then dark in the foreground again. There's lots of ways to do this. You know, there's no right or wrong way. Ooh, night. Yeah, it's basically just it's not all nighttime scenes are this way, right? This is more like strong light, like a spotlight with a flashlight or something, right? This gives a little bit of horror vibes. Because a lot of times what people will do for nighttime scenes is they'll set it up fairly similar to a daytime scene. They'll still go darkest in the foreground, and they'll go, you know, they'll just darken the whole thing. It's kind of like when you take a date, like when movie directors or whoever will take a daytime scene that's overcast, and they'll just color grade it and make it a lot darker. They'll make it bluer and darker, and you basically end up with something like this. So here's a nighttime scene, right? Super dark in the foreground. Maybe you get a few select lights in here, you know, a character with a light. You know, they're holding a lantern or something, right? And both can feel like they're dark, right? Especially if you get a bit of, you know, bluish light in here or something, like a dark blue, it can absolutely feel like a nighttime scene, you know? You get a little bit of really soft moonlight, you know, that's just super soft. This can feel like a nighttime scene, absolutely, right? And it doesn't have to have that spotlight effect. So both are valid nighttime scenes as far as I'm concerned, but one feels a lot creepier. This one feels more like, you know, you're under the stars. You know, you might have a few, you know, stars up here. You know, maybe there's like some distant lights in the background. You know, maybe there's like a person with a campfire, you know, in the foreground or something. I don't know. Like this type of lighting is nice if you're gonna add the lighting later. And like, oh, what if I were to add some glowing, I don't know, magical things in here, you know, so some glowy wisps or something, you know, some magic. You know, this kind of seems nice for that. But it, you know, this one, from the very structure of the image, it is. So yeah, different ways to do different things. There's other ways to make nighttime scenes, but a lot of it's in those initial values. Those are kind of my two go-to, depending on what I want. Suppose I'm painting an axe murderer in the woods. I'm going to have strongest contrast on the axe, the main threat, and then the eye naturally goes up to identify a human, but the head's completely in shadow. Gotcha. Yeah. True. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. So that setting in the woods in the second thing you noticed, and then only does the head get attention. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it would be like, yeah. But you're still kind of doing a similar thing, yeah. So like here would be the axe, and then it would be connected to a person, but the person would be like the background tree, because you might have some foreshortening. I don't know how to draw an axe or a person. What am I doing? Anyway, here's the axe. A person with... Okay, I'm not trying. I shouldn't have tried. But yeah, then you'd have a person... Yeah, that's really common in illustrative things, you know, like character cloaked in shadows, right? That's another very similar setup where you have actually, funny enough, that's a thing that you do a lot in this kind of painting as well. So a lot of people will set their paintings up like this, where you have a character. I'm gonna actually try to draw a character here. Character. Background. But then you'll put like a light across them. So it'll be like, you know, there'll be a ching, and then the light will shine very conveniently on their knife. Or something, you know, like they'll have their knife, but their face will be in the shadow, you know. And so maybe this will be a little bit in light, but their face will completely be in shadow. Just the knife is gleaming in the... I don't know how to draw knives or a character. I don't know what I'm doing here. You know, something like that, where like you still do have some light, and maybe there's even some light on the ground here, or coming up the character like this. So I guess it's kind of a mix, right? You still might have something like that. That's just on their legs, but maybe it is on the knife only. I don't know. I'm not sure quite what I'm doing, but something like that, where you have like a character who is basically in shadow, and then you just have these little spots on them. You know, or another way to do this would be to add light behind them, I guess. And I'm just thinking out loud here, but like maybe you have light here, and you have a character kind of in the shadows. And so this stuff is like the focal point. Whatever this is, there's something here, like a building or a... Now I'm just thinking. Maybe this person is... I don't know. Maybe there's a path. There's in shadow. And this person's in the shadows, lurking. He's gonna ambush the people. This is not a good composition. I don't know what I'm doing. I was trying to make a path that's lit. Okay, we're gonna ignore this. Pretend this one didn't happen. But anyway, yeah, it's cool that there's different ways to paint different subjects, and your values can... Anyway, pretend that whole part didn't happen. I don't know what I'm doing. It's all about controlling what order the eye is drawn to the things. Yeah. Heavy darks also mean we can leave things unrendered. Yep, yeah, that's always a nice way to do it. I think a lot of that comes down to like what is the like blown out. Like if you focus on the lights, oftentimes the blacks can all be underexposed and they can fade to literal black. And so you can get the details in the light. But then sort of the other way of doing it, like, there's more than one way or more than two ways. But then the other way, right, would be to sort of overexpose the light, and then you allow all the nuance in the shadows. And that's the way I typically paint, right? I typically paint bright background, and then stuff is in shadow, and the stuff in the shadow is actually where we're focused. So like here's a bunch of rocks, and this is where we're looking, where we're actually looking in the shadows, you know. So like maybe we have a big shape here. But these are the interesting parts, right? And you might get a little bit of like fringe light or something. Here, let me color some of this. Also, if you have to leave, you know, feel free. Go get food or something. I don't expect you to be here the whole time when you're after you raid, unless you want to be. Okay, maybe this. Maybe we get some nice blue bouncing into the shadows because, again, blue rock. Maybe we get a little bit of blue sky, but we don't even need it. It can just be basically light. As if it's sort of almost overexposed. Again, most of that blue that we do see is going to make its way into the shadows. You know, maybe there's some rocks in here. Just making shapes, squiggles. Something like that. And then up here, we can maybe put some fancy lights if we want. But mostly, I'm gonna focus all of my detail in this painting in the shadows. I'm actually not gonna do much of real lighting. Some rim light. I don't know. I think that's nice. But yeah, I always like that, just different styles of lighting. There's definitely some ways of lighting that I haven't done a lot of that I should do more of, like sort of like high key type value structures where you have very limited darks oftentimes. Everything's sort of skewed bright, almost like the sun is almost like this, right? Where the sun is sort of flowing into the scene and even the darkest stuff is hardly dark. You know, maybe you have a few darker spots, you know, here and there, but like mostly it's quite bright. I tend to go quite dark somewhere in the painting. Mick Spriggs, thanks for the follow. Hope you're doing well today. Okay, I'm gonna take this and go just make some shapes, I think. I'm trying to think how I want to do this. I want to make some shapes for like the tops of stones a little bit and get a little bit of blue in there. Maybe even a lot bit of blue. I don't know if I like that. And then up here, maybe we go full on deep dark, like into the foliage. Almost like there's a you know, rock wall here and things are sitting on it. And now I'm going to go back to my references that we took of like this wall. And basically, how can I do like that saturated green in here, which is really weird for me to do that saturated green. Looks almost alien. Actually, it might not even be as saturated as I think it is. Maybe it is in a select few places. Although I think it's pretty edited. No, it's not edited. It's a Google Maps. I mean, I'm sure they have some sort of filter, but it's Google Earth. It's just the whatever basic camera they're using. So yeah, I think it's just very... Actually, maybe not. No, this one is, actually. Now that I think about it, it's not like a custom upload or anything. So yeah, I don't know why it feels so saturated. I'm surprised it gets that crazy. And of course we get some greens in these rocks. And I'm not trying to do anything crazy right now, just maybe do some shape carving. Figure out some shapes that I want. Maybe get some bits of grayish, brownish colors. Okay, now let's go back to the actual scene and return and see if there's any things to add. Maybe little pops of red and orange to wander around the... You can add some pants. No, that's not a pant. That's... Oh, look at that. Little, like, pond. That's neat. Little infinity pond type thing. I don't know if that's what you call it, but kinda. Very interesting. Oh, a little dog. A little... Oh, a barking dog. What else is down here? Why is it not letting me go? Oh, there we go. Ah, we're getting a raid. Elsie Art, how's it going? Welcome, raiders! As the Fae folk arrive, the allure compels you to dance. You can't help it. I am dancing on the inside. Thank you so much for your kind raid. Elsie, what were you doing today? What were you up to? Art tax. If you guys are in ads, if you're stuck in ads, I apologize. You are taking photos to paint. Yeah, I'm doing some Google Earth traveling, and then we are doing some virtual plein air where we're figuring out what we like about different spaces, and then I'm kind of trying to... Well, in this one, I'm kind of cobbling things together. So it's more of like referencing, but taking certain things like these old stumps and the mossy rocks. But some of them, like this one, I'm basically painting... Like this one, I'm basically painting the thing that is there. I'm making some adjustments to like the forms and stuff, but I'm also I'm trying to sort of grab what I like about it. So like I really like this little stall, but on the other side of the road there was a dog, and so I thought let's incorporate a dog, and so I added a dog into the scene. So like I'm kind of trying to take the vibe of the place of what I like. You know, I like that there was this stuff, but I wanted to add some things. Maybe they're selling, you know, some little pots and stuff just to like liven up the place a little bit. Adding the dog, of course, adds some life. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing today is sort of just trying to figure out what I like about a scene, you know, leave out the stuff that I don't like, you know, add some things maybe to tell a story or whatever. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's sort of a really, for me, it's been a really nice exercise in simplification, and not trying to paint the thing. Because none of these photos are great, right? These are just random photos from Google Street View. A lot of them have awkward tangents and unclear shapes, and you're not even really sure what things are half the time, so you just want to leave them out. You know, that happened in this one, right? Or no, not that one. This scene. Like, this weird water tower thing, it just kind of blends in, and it's not really clear. This whole scene doesn't look great, but some of the colors are cool. And so it was definitely an exercise of like, what do you leave out? What do you put in? And I really enjoyed that stuff. You were learning how to vectorize. Ooh. How do you, what do you, like, just how to draw in vectors? I don't know how, I've never used vectors, other than for like typography a little bit, I guess. Yeah, I don't know anything about vector. But how'd it go? Do you have anything you want to share? Any vector stuff? Maybe some light up here. This brownish color. Some nice browns. Definitely going a little bit more realistic colors today. A lot of times I like to go crazy, wacky, saturated colors. And actually, maybe we will do that for this one. I don't know. Actually, you know what? These would be really nice as, like, floating islands. Some floating island stuff. I used Affinity and tried to vectorize a logo you had painted beforehand. I can share it, but it's not very exciting. I am excited for it. I'd love to see it. Some floating rock. Let's paint some floating rocks. I think these would look nice with this sort of texture aesthetic, or whatever you want to call it. The green on top, the sunlit back. Kind of looks like a strawberry, but not very red at all. Okay, there's that. Painting some floating rocks here. More rocks up top. Decided. This one took a turn. Very simple. Yeah, I mean, vector stuff. Oh, this is nice. Vector stuff is. So wait, what are you using? You're using Affinity. Okay, I don't know anything about Affinity. But how was it? Did you feel like you got your vector legs under you? Is that a word? I was gonna say like sea legs, but no. Do you feel like you know how to do vector stuff now, or I like it though. Affinity is free now? Nice. I might have to try it. I don't know really what I would do for vector stuff. I mean I do you know what? I actually thought about making some like stream graphics, you know, with like a border, a display, all that. Um you know, something down at the bottom because I have like my you know, my icons down here. I could make this, you know, I could drag this down and just hide it, but I thought about doing some sort of display. It'd be kind of nice. Or some sort of layout. That could be good for vector, so if I'm smushing it and stretching it, it's not getting all pixelated. There's digital painting and Affinity too. I think Adobe Suite all lumped together. Gotcha. That's good to know. Good to know, Rach, Gianna. Also, hi. Welcome back. I don't know if you ever left. Maybe you did. But yeah, I maybe next stream I'll try to do like a layout. I'll jump into the world of stream layouts and graphics. Let's go really, really bright here, because this is kind of the focal point. Work meeting, in and out. Gotcha. Hope all the meetings are going good. Meetings suck. Maybe there's a nice tree here. I don't know. This is like strange vibes because there's some like weird floating rocks. Yeah, meetings do suck. All right. Do I like what's happening here in this image? I mean, the floating island thing is kind of weak. Like, it's not... They're all in the same layer. I don't have, like, any overhanging ones. Maybe I'll do one that's overhanging, and we can kind of infer that it is... You know, maybe we'll do one like this. trying to make a shape where we can see the underside of the shape, you know? Because they need to be in perspective, right? You can't just have a random shape. It has to feel like we're looking underneath it. There. I think that works. And then maybe back here we can go a little stronger with the airbrush, just to like soften up the things in the distance. That kind of works. I'm not sure about that shape. There, just kind of like a there. Now we could focus on the texture if we wanted. You know, getting some of those lighter textures in here, also a little warmer. But also we have some of these like dark colors sort of throughout. There's a lot of texture and shape. Probably also make some nice big, medium, small shapes. Maybe these back here are smaller. Some organic little nooks and crannies. Still trying to follow the perspective though, at least a little bit, to give the idea or the impression that we're looking up at something. Okay, I like this. I think that's a nice start. Now, I'm curious, which one should I work on till the end of stream? I mean, I kind of want to work on only one. Maybe I could work on all of them. Or maybe I just keep painting on these. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just keep working on all of them. I'll try to make them all look nice. That's my plan. 3 and 4. Actually, no. We will erase the 1, 2, 4, and 5. And then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's not a very good 4. There we go. Lock the layer again. And now I can do some cleanup. Ah, Raichiana, thank you so much for the sub. That's extremely generous of you. Thank you, thank you. You are so kind. No, thanks for the sub. Okay, so these are not all great, but I do like this. This one seems like it could be really fun. It's not terribly challenging. I mean, well, maybe it is. I don't know. Thanks for the art. Yeah. No problem. I appreciate it. It's people like you is part of the reason I am here. I mean, if there was nobody here, I at some point, I don't know how long it would take before I stop streaming. Because, like, as much as I like streaming in and of itself, it's obviously, like, the interaction is the thing, you know? So, I very much appreciate it. It means a lot. Although, the sub, not the, I wasn't alluding to the subs. It's not the subs that keeps me streaming. It's the interaction. Just to be clear, in case somebody misunderstood. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not here for the money. But I do very much appreciate any monetary support. It all does add up. You got me painting again. I'm pretty happy, you know, or to know you all. No. That's awesome. That is super cool. That makes me very happy. Anytime somebody is inspired to start painting and do art again, it is always a, yeah, my job is done. It's great. That's a gigantic compliment, so thank you. I think here, right along the edge, there are a lot of small rocks, and I think I want to try and capture some of those, like, these little textures of green. Very, very impressionistic. I'm not doing a lot of, like, you know, I'm not painting, like, individual plants, right? Also, this stuff is moss, and moss is kind of, you know, it's kind of blobby. So I will shape design it. I will make the shapes try to be interesting. You know, maybe there's some logic to it. It follows the cracks a little bit. You know, it fills in between. Actually, speaking of moss, my city, yeah, my town, my city, whatever you want to call it, a couple years ago they redid the entire downtown area, and they put in all these little bricks. But just in the last year or two, or just in the last year, there's been like a moss growing between all the little bricks, which I don't know if that was intended. It could get slippery potentially and maybe a walking hazard. I don't know. But all the little cobblestone thingies they added, there's moss between them. Maybe they intentionally made it grow. Like, I assume you can, you know, help it along. But it's really beautiful and it looks super nice, and with the moss popping up between all these little bricks. And I should have taken a photo of it, because it's just a nice texture. Having moss grow between bricks is kind of neat. Oh, thanks for the hydrate command. But yeah, painting organic stuff like this is definitely one of my favorite things to do. Because you can kind of just scribble. As long as there's a little bit of logic to it, you can get away with so much. Like, I do also like some of this discoloration in here, and I'm trying to see if there's sort of a pattern of, like, where is the moss yellow and where is it green. And I can't really tell. It kind of looks like it's yellower higher up, or where, like, maybe on the tops of where the sun would reach. So, like, if you have a long strand, you know, sticking up, maybe this part would be yellowish, and then it would get more green down below. I think that's the logic. And so I might add a little bit of yellows on some of the tops here. Sort of. Gotta head out. Have fun, peeps. Thanks. You too. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. This would actually be a good thing to do as a little mini study of, actually. Did I lose it? Where's the... Here, let me close some of these. So trying to find the logic of where's the yellow, right? Like, I know there's a lot of yellow, there's a lot of dark green. These big leafy dandelion thingies looking things are very dark. Is it just different materials or different colors? I guess this moss is quite yellow. Then we have the green, darker green leafy stuff in between. So yeah, maybe it's just the moss is kind of yellow. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just the other plants that are green, and it's hard to see here. So if that's the case, we could kind of think in shape, maybe? I'm kind of trying to figure this out a little bit on the fly, but like, so what I mean by think in shape is like maybe the moss will have a logic to it, right? Maybe it's like this, you know, circular blobby shapes or something. Just, it really doesn't matter, but let's just say it's a circular blobby shape. Then the darker green, maybe I'm intentionally doing like lines, right, that are not blobby. They're more angular, they're more like spear shaped, you know, like a a tuft of grass. That way they're sort of, you know, they're separate. Each color is kind of representing its own thing, so that you can kind of read it at a glance. And then these stones have very little down below. And by very little, I mean they almost have no moss. So it's kind of like the mossy, maybe it's, you know, floods, or maybe there's debris kicked up that erodes it over time. Maybe kids come across and kick the wall, and so they, you know, the moss doesn't grow down here. But that's kind of a neat little thought, or a neat little detail. Moss definitely fall yellow from below too, but once it dries, it loses its green too. Yellow from below, like where the roots. Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah. Sometimes this is the thing. I don't know if there's a word for it, but I think in art a lot of times it almost doesn't matter, like if it's super duper realistic, so long as you follow some like logic, right? So like I think what I just said with you know, treating sort of each plant as a different subtle shade of green, like that may not be exactly what's happening, but I think if you carry that throughout, it'll create a readability. Or if you treat the moss as, you know, yellow on the bottom and greener on the top, or maybe you invert it, right? I think all of those will look fine. I don't think it really matters. I think it's more of having a consistency and a readability to it. And I think you can do that. It does make it a little more believable to have it accurate, but I think in some ways having it readable, because like you could change the colors, right? You could make them pink and blue and turquoise, and like there will still be a realism to it, right? So it's not really about the color. It's more about that sort of underlying logic to make it believable, right? Like, because you could make a totally alien planet and it can... I think you're really doing cool. Thanks. Anna Nasik, I appreciate it. Yeah, we've got a little stand in here with a little dog. Based on some Google Earth scenes. We are touring Map Crunch and going around, and ooh, like these orange flowers are very nice. Maybe we'll add, like, this wall is gorgeous, by the way. I'm sure very strategically designed and placed. Not organic whatsoever, but I like it. The big rocks on top is like a... And then all these feel very natural, which they aren't, but they feel. And then these, I like the big rocks here. That's cool. So yeah, maybe we'll incorporate some of that. I'm just trying to find stuff that I think is interesting, and you know, I do like the big rocks on top. That is something that you don't typically do a lot of, right? Like, I mean, I guess that's kind of what's happening up here. Big rocks on top. When they dry, the top dries first. That makes sense. But yeah, I appreciate it, Anna. There's probably all kinds of circumstances where it behaves differently. Yeah, and I think just like coming up with and this is kind of what I ramble about sometimes, with like thinking like in some ways thinking like a scientist, where like you may not even know exactly why, but you kind of have like a theory, you know, you sort of, you formulate your hypothesis, you say, you know, I bet if it's really windy, the tops would dry out first, right? And if it was not a windy place, maybe the bottoms would, because maybe it's just a darker color, or you know, a browner color, and the tops are green because that's where, like, you know, they're they're being, I don't know, like getting their, I don't know, they're still growing, right? So maybe it's more green. And so maybe there's like, you know, maybe your hypothesis of like in windier climates, you're gonna have more yellowing. I don't know if that's true, but you could kind of, I don't know, like I like, sometimes it almost doesn't even matter if that's how it is. Obviously doing more research and figuring it out and reading up and studying to actually understand what's happening is useful and important. But when you're doing like painting from life, sometimes just taking a guess will help make it so much more believable. And I like that. I don't know. I do like these little bits of orange though. Look at that. It's like a little tuft of, like a little shape here. And then this shape has a little, I know you can't really see that, but this little shape has some orange thingies poking off. And they kind of have like a flow, like even up here, right? Just knowing that like these things are much more dense up top, because as it turns the form, right? You see more than down here. We'll see probably less. Which I think is neat. Well, I don't really like the look of that. Maybe these things are too small. I don't know. Just trying to add a little bit of stuff. Oh, I probably should have done that lower. That's okay. And then maybe some yellows. We don't need to make it exact. Again, I'm not actually painting that image. I'm just kind of referencing it for the colors and the overall look. I will say I like that the rocks with a little bit of an overhang up here. And then they have a bit of like smoothness to them. Which I think is neat. And maybe this one has some ground cover down here. So maybe we're just implying that ground cover with some simple shapes. And then the ground probably itself, we could do like a little gravel on the side, like a little gravel pit almost. I don't think I want to paint much of that, just little implications of texture. And then for this, kind of like in this image, right? Actually, some of this stuff could be a little more brown. See, I like this. I am learning from this a bit. I think I'm learning from this. I hope I'm learning. While you were on stream, I finally added the silhouette to your drawing. Want to see? I would love to see. I would love, absolutely. I would love to see, Pat. Yay. Oh, I didn't actually mean to share it on screen. I typically only share people who raid on stream just because, but I already shared it, so too late. I love this. I like the silhouette. That's a really nice silhouette. It looks like a... Well, he has a cowboy hat. And so but he also has like the flappy, like some sort of bit of clothing or cloth hanging. I like it. That's very fun. I love that. You know, this is the best way to do sunset paintings. Just strong silhouettes. It looks so good. Silhouettes are gorgeous. Or your silhouettes, those silhouettes are gorgeous. Also, sunsets are gorgeous. The whole thing is great. You did an amazing job. Honestly, I think painting sunsets, even though it's not my favorite thing, it is so good to like learn shape design and to figure out to make appealing shapes, play with, you know, big, medium, small, because you're basically just doing a composition, right? Your backlight and then everything else is this dark. You're basically painting in two values, and I love it because it's such a good practice for that. So like, and this is kind of the thing that I'm a big believer in. I don't think you need to do studies if you're like someone first learning to do painting. Not that you are, but I'm just mean in general, if someone's listening, maybe on the VOD or something someday. And like, I don't think you need to do studies for everything. You can just paint subjects that lend themselves to different skills. So like, you know, painting a lot of foggy forests is going to make you have to do atmospheric perspective, right? Because that's how you paint fog. Painting lots of sunsets is going to force you to focus on shape design and composition, right? I mean, everything's composition, but you know, you're going to focus. It's easy to focus on shape design if you're painting sunsets, but also like sunset colors. And so there's kind of a, you know, sort of a win-win. I don't know. I really like doing it that way. Otherwise, just doing studies can be boring. And then, of course, there's like this, which is somewhere between a study and a painting of, you know, painting whatever you want. I mean, there's definitely an element of study to this, but I don't really think of it as a study in that I didn't know what I was going to paint when I sat down today. And so this is just happens to be the thing. And so I'm trying to make the most of it and learn something from it. Hello, Joe the Wizardy. How's it going? Long time no see. Thanks for popping in. Hope you're doing well. Okay. It's got some floating rocks. Maybe we do some more. I think there's some weird tangent here. Hold on. Let's... I'm gonna try to add some shadows in here to really show that these rocks have depth. I mean, even though this whole thing is in shadow, right? This is entirely an overcast rock wall. The Sandman abandoned me. Oh, no. Wait, what does that mean? Does that mean you fell asleep? Or that you woke up? The Sandman. Isn't Sandman referencing sleep? I don't actually know what that means. Does that mean you woke up? I don't know what that means. I feel like I should know what that means. Rest in peace, Sandman. Going good. You got distracted with video games for just a few weeks. Now I'm rebalancing. You know what? I relate. I took a break. I took a break from some games that I've been playing, and I was playing some Path of Exile again, and then took a break from that. But yeah. I've been taking a small break from Minecraft. I might start doing that again. You didn't sleep? I slept. I don't know what Ronnie was saying. No, it means I got in bed, but ready to sleep, and then my tiredness went poof. Oh no, Ronnie. Welcome in, Kula Yellow. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Okay, there's that. It's midnight? Gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. And maybe there's a big old rock over here as well. I got caught up playing Enshrouded. Loved the building in that game? Nice. Here's a shape. Let's do some overlap. Now, I don't want to go crazy with the rendering, but I do want to figure out what the heck this floating rock thing shape is. Maybe a little bit of Fresnel effect scattering, or whatever you call it, the Fresnel effect. That's the one where when you look at a surface, the more low angle it is, the shinier the top is, and if you're looking down at an angle, then it's not going to be as shiny. And so when you're doing like a rock formation like this, oftentimes what's going to make this part of the rock very like more, you're going to see the more true sort of color and texture, if that's even a thing, then like right around the rim. As it turns that form, you're going to get a little bit of sheen and shine here. So not really a rim light, because rim light typically means an actual light. This is more just the fact that it gets more shiny, so it's going to pick up more of that skylight. So that's the thing. And it's not much, but it's a nice thing to remember when painting surfaces, that as they turn, they tend to pick up more light. Although I don't know if I want to render all that much, because this is supposed to not be that important. But yeah, I want to start playing some Minecraft again, actually. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do in that game, because I have a world that I've been playing in. It's just fun to build stuff, but sometimes after stream, like, all my sort of creative energy is gone. And so I have to, like, force myself to, but then once I get started doing the creative things again, or, like, even if it's not creative, it's just, like, exploring, once I force myself to, like, start doing a project, it becomes super fun again. But I have to kind of, like, figure out what the heck I want to do, and that sometimes takes brain power that I just don't feel like I have. Pat, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for working along and sharing your art. Gotta go now. I really enjoyed the time with all you guys. Keep going, Joe. Your drawings are pretty. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm kind of done with this one, probably, but I've been... Maybe we should focus on one of the others. Something like that. I still think this one can use a lot. I really like it. It's probably my favorite of the bunch. But at the same time, it's also kind of messy and a little bit disorganized. Let's see. This is the reference for that. Maybe these can be a little bit thicker down here. And then maybe there's some debris down here, just like in the photo. But I don't know if I want to put much down there, because then that kind of draws attention. Because then we're adding lots of shapes. Little bit of light on this dog. I know this... I don't know if this is exactly what it would look like, but let's... Again, these are basically tiny paintings, so the resolution is really small. But that's okay. Maybe little shapes down here. That's a little bit detailed, probably, but it could just add something a little extra. And maybe some things hanging down here. Just some pots and vases and different shapes, shaped objects. Again, I don't think we need to actually see everything. Just enough of an implication of stuff that we can start to... Just like we were talking about earlier, with sometimes you can just take a shape and say, okay, well, here's a shape. You know, here's a silhouette in the background. Doesn't matter what it is, or even if you do know what it is, you don't have to render it, right? You don't have to add detail. Because the stuff that is in detail... Right, like, we already know there's pots up here. We've already rendered this one a little bit. You know, we've added some texture and stuff. So, like, maybe we can infer what some of this other stuff is. Just a stand bursting with things to sell. Now, oh, you guys can't see that. I brought the reference back up. But yeah, I do like this stuff a lot. I wonder if maybe... Maybe we can't do something up here. Some shadow. And normally I don't like shading individual planks and stuff like this, but I think in this case... And again, it's weird when I'm painting in basically pixels because my resolution is so low. But I think in this case it can help show what the form of the thing is. Like, because we're not even... I think it's not even clear that this is wood. I mean, maybe it is. But, like, showing that it's rounded, right, is going to help tell us that it's wood because, well, the wood is going to be more designed here. Or it's going to be, you know, it's going to, like, have round pieces of wood, and it'll be easier to see the form. You think the scale and shape language says wood? I think so, too. It's a little bit weird because I'm not entirely sure, you know, what everything is. I'm just trying to make some little shapes here that read nicely. Again, maybe not the whole thing, but just some of it. We can put some stuff like this. But yeah, I think it reads pretty well. I probably should have been a little more careful. But... especially around these like connectors. Again, this is like veering into like where if this were gonna be a concept, I would want to like make it a little bit better, you know, and make it functional or more functional and make sure the pieces fit together, which I didn't really do. But like, you know, just figuring like, okay, is there a beam that goes across here? Probably at least one that goes this way. Gonna add some there. Maybe make the edges a little bit bigger. But yeah, I'm glad it works, Richiana. Okay, I think we're gonna close Street View for now. Maybe not. Maybe I don't need to. I'm just closing all my tabs. I got way too many windows open. This reference here, though, this is the same thing, but from a different angle. You can actually see how it's constructed a little bit better. From the front, there's a lot of beams going across this way. Oh, I remember what I was going to do. I was going to turn down the music. It got really loud. There we go. Just skipped ahead in the playlist. Yeah, maybe some of this can be a little brighter. Under here. I could also... do more like plants here and stuff in the background. So maybe gray it out a little bit and put like... I don't think I want to put a character, but we could put a character. No, I don't think a character is needed in here. But just some simple shapes to maybe start silhouetting the background. Trying to keep it as simple as possible. I mean, maybe not as simple as possible, but very simple. Looks like tropical bamboo wood type. That works for me. I don't know if it actually is. I don't think it is bamboo, but it not in the real reference, but that's okay. What's happening? Oh, oops. I grabbed a... like that. Just trying to make sure that some of these lines line up. Again, not everything has to be super in focus. This is still trying to be painterly. That is one of my goals. But I do want to give the impression that this thing has some construction. Like, do these go, for example, the palette. Okay, they're hooked straight into the edge of the palette, right? So it's like, is that something that I want to do? Maybe I should. Because like otherwise, how's the palette sitting in here? It actually looks like it's not doing a very... Right, I didn't do that very well. I should have paid more attention to that. And like had these go like that. Also, I like the shape design of the natural thing of this, the real one, way more. It's bigger on the top. And so you have like these little legs, but then you have the big palette on top, right? And that's not how this is. And this is very square, and I don't like that. I think having this big, again, I don't think I can just stretch it. That's not how perspective works, but I'm going to try it anyway. This is kind of... You know, having the base bigger or something. You know, I'm not saying this is the way to do it, but changing up that silhouette a little bit could be nice. Which unfortunately I didn't do. But that's okay. It's okay. Live and learn. Next time. Should have looked more at the construction of this thing before I jumped in. There, little bits of plants and lines. Screen or drape the bottom shelf? True. Yeah, that's true. We could do some sort of... You mean like some sort of drapery or something down here? Is that what you mean by drape it? Like, maybe like an orange. Like that? Or something? We could do something like that. The sales cart looks empty. Yeah, put a back... The sales cart looks empty. Empty? But a backstock... True, I do like... Yeah, I like the idea of the backstock underneath. That's a good idea. I do like that. That's a good idea. Yeah, maybe some just additional stuff on the side and... Yeah, underneath there's some things catching the light maybe a little bit to help maybe fill out that silhouette a bit. That could be a thing. That's a good idea. Hanging from the top. True, yeah, we could have some hanging stuff. Even something like this, a little like crystals or medallions or something catching some light from like a string. That could be neat. That's a good idea. Good suggestion. And thank you for the follow. Yeah, and then some stuff on the bottom. Maybe a cinder block to prop it up. That'd be kind of fun, actually. Hold on. I'm gonna do that. A cinder block on the brick on the bottom. Add some character. No, maybe oh, no, that's not good. Bad shape. I don't know. I do like the idea of a cinder block, though, on one of the legs. I just think that I'm gonna have to figure out how to make it look nice. A nice-looking cinder block. Could be fun. It might be too eye-catching, though. I don't... And also, if I draw it poorly... Nah. I don't think it needs it. Maybe another time. I'm getting tired, and I don't know if I can pull that off well right now. Okay, let's add some random stuff. Kind of chucked underneath. Guess it should probably be hanging this way too. Maybe some red bands. Maybe some old sign postage stuff. That's, or like some old things, maybe some old screws sticking out. Again, where I'm basically painting with pixels. I should absolutely have some old nails. I should have scaled this up first. But little nails and stuff sticking out. I guess the nails is what you could hang things on. But yeah, good suggestions, by the way. And maybe some of these plants are a little shinier than others. Although I don't really want to draw too much attention to them. I kind of want to try something though, because I might be a little tunnel visioned. Whoa, not that. Let's turn my screen black. Why don't I? No, I want to... just kind of come in here and put a spotlight on this. Just a little bit. Push up the color. Oh. I still want there to be light in places, obviously, because this whole place is... yeah, this whole place is definitely in sunlight, and, you know, it should feel like it's warm. But just enough of, like, a vignette, you know, some of the shadows will maintain a little bit darker. Some of the what do you call it? The ambient occlusion underneath, like this stuff. You know, there's just these little bits of dark in various places. Now, I am curious, what if I take this whole thing, duplicate it, and then do like a hue balance saturation. What if I just like crank the saturate? Obviously, I don't want this. This is very saturated. Whew, that's bright. Yeah, way too bright. Okay, but let's do something though. What if I mask layer, mask outside selection, and then come in here and like that, the reds, some of the reds on the pots, the blues, cranking up some of that saturation, maybe even some of that yellow as it bounces in on the pots from like the bounce light back here. Get some really warm colors. That way we can get warmer bounce light in here. Just everywhere, basically, that is in shadow, where it's saturating a little more. I don't know if this is going to look good. Might be a little overkill. But it is a nice way to add warm bounce light to things. If you have things that are vaguely warm already, you just go in and like crank up the saturation a bit. What do we do here? Maybe we do like a light blue. I don't know. Just trying to make some shapes. Maybe like a checker pattern along the edge. Something like that, maybe. I like little stands like this. I will say, it is fun to paint these things. Okay, let's go back to our reference. What's some good foreground object? We could do like a... I mean, we don't have to have a foreground object. Is that too much? Maybe? Probably. Okay, I think that's good. I think it's a good spot to stop. I might have overdone it with the saturation stuff. And of course, I don't even know what this stuff is, but it's something. Something with red in it. Let's put some more in there. Sprinkle it around. Let the colors be vibrant. And maybe this thing is like a rug that we're gonna put some pattern on. I don't know. Add a little bit of color back there as well. Like, I will say, it's still, as I know people like painting in high resolution, I kind of like painting in this low resolution. It sort of feels nice for some reason. It's hard to explain. Okay, that's a spot to stop, I think. And there. Done. Finale. Finished. This one is still... It's funny how much more detail I put in this one than this one. But I like it. I kind of... Something about this one feels like it calls for less because it was more simple. It was like a warmer scene. This is more about like livening up the place. So yeah, thanks for being here, everybody. I appreciate it for those who stuck around. I know today was a little bit different than normal. But we got some very nice raids. Thank you guys for the raids and bringing your communities over. And of course, the follows and the subs. Okay. What's my outro? How do I end stream? Thanks for being here. I stream 3 days a week, Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Next stream will be on Saturday. You can find me on all the socials and also Patreon, patreon.com/jsolar30. If you'd like to support me further, you can. Don't feel like you have to.